Islam Makhachev vs Alexander Volkanovski UFC 284 official scorecard. We are finally there. UFC 284 will take place live from Australia. For the occasion, history is on the march for both Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski. On his land, the featherweight champion will try to conquer a new category in order to obtain the status of champ of the UFC. In the main event of the evening, the interim featherweight title will also be at stake. Thus, it is Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett who will fight to obtain the precious sesame. In this Islam Makhachev vs Alexander Volkanovski, here are all the results. Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski met in a battle of the two best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and it was as closely contested as you'd expect. In the end, it is Makhachev who kept his lengthy win streak going and retained his lightweight title as he won a hard-fought decision over Volkanovski in the UFC 284 main event via scores of 48-47, 48-47, and 49-46. See the official scorecard below. Volkanovski, the UFC's reigning featherweight champion who moved up a division to challenge Makhachev, won rounds 3 and 5 on the scorecards of judges Ben Cartledge and David Lethaby. It wasn't enough though, as all three judges agreed that Makhachev won rounds 1, 2, and 4, with Derek Cleary also scoring round 3 for Makhachev. Regardless of the result, every round felt competitive, and few would argue that Volkanovski gave Makhachev his most difficult fight since Makhachev's lone loss to Adriano Martins back in 2015. Alexander Volkanovski fell short in his pursuit of glory but made believers of his many naysayers. UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev and featherweight champion Volkanovski fought back and forth for 5 hard rounds. Makhachev retained his title, but the outcome is sure to be debated for some time. Makhachev and Volkanovski masterfully weaponized each other's greatest strengths. Volkanovski managed to peel away Makhachev's grappling and confidence to wrestle offensively. But Makhachev mastered the range on the feet and countered Volkanovski well. All 5 rounds were competitive, but the momentum tended from Makhachev to Volkanovski with each passing 5 minutes. Makhachev, 31, ran his win streak to 12 with the victory as he continues to collect accolades along the way. I showed why I am number 1. You like it or you don't like it, I'm the number 1 best fighter in the world, Makhachev told UFC commentator Michael Bisping during the post-fight interview. I want a real contender. Not fakes. Round 2 was a major swing round. Volkanovski appeared to have dropped the defending champion, but Makhachev immediately shot for and secured his second takedown of the fight. Later in the round, Makhachev hits Volkanovski with a big punch that put the challenger off balance and sent him in retreat. Volkanovski wasn't always able to stuff the takedown attempt, but he regularly peeled off the notoriously sticky Makhachev and either broke free or pushed Makhachev against the fence. Can't get enough boxing and MMA? Get the latest in the world of combat sports from 2 of the best in the business. Subscribe to Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell for the best analysis and in-depth news, including instant analysis of UFC 284 at the conclusion of the event. Round 4 should serve as research material when discussing scoring criteria. Makhachev took down Volkanovski and held his back for half of the round. However, he did not meaningfully threaten with submissions or land many blows. By contrast, Volkanovski repeatedly walloped on Makhachev by punching behind his own head. These were not fight-ending strikes, but they were arguably more impactful and of greater volume than what Makhachev offered in the same period of time. All 3 judges scored round 4 for Makhachev. The final frame was certainly the fight's most definitive. Makhachev did well early countering Volkanovski with knees, but ate a punch that dropped the lightweight champion. Volkanovski poured on the offense from top position but was unable to draw a stoppage. People didn't give me a chance, but I gave myself a chance, Volkanovski, a sizable underdog, told Bisping. It was a fun fight. Maybe I could have capitalized on some positions more. I left it late, but what can you do? Congrats to Islam. Obviously, he didn't respect my wrestling and grappling, and I guess maybe I didn't respect his strikes enough because he landed some good shots. A fight that should reasonably have gone 3-2 in either direction was announced a unanimous decision, 49-46, 48-47, 48-47, in Makhachev's favor. Makhachev, number 2 pound for pound, will likely usurp Volkanovski's number 1 P4P spot in the UFC's rankings. Maybe we'll settle pound for pound again, Volkanovski said. It is unclear what the UFC has in store next for Makhachev, but Volkanovski has an anointed challenger waiting to challenge. In the main event of UFC 284, Australian Alexander Volkanovski tried to become champ by challenging Islam Makhachev, lightweight champion. In Australia, in Perth, he lost by unanimous decision. Round 1, the two men observe each other. Volkanovski sends a first left which touches the Russian, under the cries of the RAC arena. After a few exchanges, Makhachev takes the back of the Australian and takes him to the ground. In a delicate situation, the great lacks submission, but resists well and waits for the end of the round. Round 2, with a powerful combination, the Australian touches Makhachev. The latter takes the opportunity to attack in wrestling, but the featherweight champion defends extremely well. In a closed recovery, everyone tries to get out of the game. Round 3, Volkanovski continues his work of leg kicks. Islam Makhachev, he varies the strikes more. The Australian manages to cancel the Dagestani's fight and forces him to accept a striking fight. In a molten arena, the great man handles Makhachev in a sequence of a few seconds. The Australian ends this recovery in the best way. Round 4, Islam Makhachev validates a takedown after having fully anticipated the opponent's movement. He takes the back of the Australian and tries to tire him into submission. The Russian locks down a body triangle, but fails to get his wish against a tenacious Volkanovski. Round 5, the great hits the Russian well with a left, and still manages to extricate himself from his opponent's struggle. Islam Makhachev is heckled. The lightweight champion finds himself on his back, suffering Volkanovski's ground and pound. Victory for Islam Makhachev by unanimous decision, 48-47, 48-47, 49-46. The Dagestani retains his belt after a tight fight against Alexander Volkanovski. The Australian, who took all the risks going up in category, showed an extremely positive face by manhandling his evening opponent in sequence. Now, Islam Makhachev is considered the best fighter on the MMA planet, as he beat the number 1 athlete in the UFC P4P rankings. The Russian improves his record, which is now 24-1. UFC lightweight champion Makhachev, 24-1, and featherweight champion Volkanovski, 25-2, faced off in the 7th champion versus champion bout in UFC history. Islam Makhachev won the fight fair and square, but the RAC Arena crowd in Perth seemingly was none too happy. A chorus of boos rang out among the 14,000-strong contingent as the Russian's arm was lifted to signal the result, via unanimous decision. Alexander Volkanovski stepped in to ask the fans to show some respect. But the boos rang louder when it was suggested Makhachev is now confirmed as the world's best pound-for-pound fighter. "Thank you, Alex, thank you. It was a very good fight," he said in the octagon. "I showed why I am number 1. They have to improve more. You like, or you don't like, I am best fighter in the world right now." Alexander Volkanovski was humble in the octagon after losing the title fight to Islam Makhachev. The Perth crowd largely booed the victor after he was awarded the win, but Volkanovski urged the fans to applaud his rival. He then took the microphone to reflect on the loss. "A lot of people are going to be happy with that, because they didn't give me a chance," Volkanovski said. But I gave myself a chance. I was expecting to win. But it was a fun fight. Maybe I could have capitalized on some positions a bit more. I left it a little late, but what do you do? He didn't respect my wrestling grappling, and maybe I didn't respect his striking enough either, because he landed some shots. Another long grapple to end the fourth round. Makhachev pins Volkanovski and the Aussie can't get out of it. He's stuck there for almost 3 minutes. The champion may be winning this on the scorecards so far. Volkanovski may need something big in the last. White medium star UFC's newest rising star enters the octagon. Will Islam Makhachev confirm his resounding victory against Charles Oliveira, against one of the best fighters in the world? Khabib will not be present in his corner for this fight. #UFC 284 #Makma. Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, champions Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski will battle for the lightweight crown tonight, Saturday, February 11, 2023, at UFC 284 inside RAC Arena in Perth, Australia. Makhachev lived up to father's plan. Following in Khabib Nurmagomedov's footsteps, Makhachev methodically worked up the lightweight ladder and then stomped Charles Oliveira, watch it, proving all doubters wrong in one of the most dominant challenger-turned-champion performances in recent memory. As a result, he's technically the new champion, but he's more than established at the top because of his current 11-fight win streak. Volkanovski won 7 bouts before his own title win, a mantle he's defended 4 more times since. He's clearly asserted himself as the best 145-pounder in the world, also claiming the top spot on the pound-for-pound list in the process. As a result of his dominance, he created this opening for a foray up to lightweight as the rest of the division tries to catch up.